When's the best time to plant a tree?
I'm not talking about planting trees. Welcome to another episode of BrewTube. When is the best time to plant a tree? 25 years ago is the quote. And the second half of the quote is, when's the second best time to plant a tree? And the answer is right now. But we're not talking about trees. That is a metaphor or an analogy. I'm not sure which. You know that about me. I get those two confused all the time. So the backstory, to make this crystal clear for you, is I was talking to a very successful entrepreneur, interviewed him, and he's somebody who's taken a company from mid six figures in annual revenue to high seven figures inside of 4 years time. So clearly knows how to build a business, grow brand, and understands his market real well. His question for me was this: Coach Brew, you've done an amazing job getting media placement, press, publicity for your books. I see all the links and the publications listed on your website on the press page. ESPN Radio, Fox News, CBS News Radio, Entrepreneur Magazine, the Huffington Post, just to name a few. NBC News. How'd you do it? What are you doing? And he asked that question because he wants more publicity and more press for his brand, and really he is he's kind of the mouthpiece for the brand, not really spokesperson, but he is the voice to the business community for the brand. So I simply said it's not done through a publicist. Most publicists are worthless. It's literally a dying profession, and they overcharge and underdeliver. No, you didn't hear that wrong. They overcharge and underdeliver. So, and the example I gave him is, most publicists and literary agents in the publishing industry have pivoted, and they are no longer agents or publicists. They help authors execute their book launches, a lot of them. To just give you some context and proof that their profession is dying. I don't need a publicist to get in touch with a reporter at the USA Today or at ESPN Radio. Like with social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, you're only one or two contacts away from anyone you want to reach out to. It's just a matter of making the connection. So that's how I did that. And what facilitates that is building a network. You've heard me say this all the time. Your network is your net worth. So I think we're all in the story in that we're great at the nuts and bolts and business building and branding and that kind of thing. But are you building the relationships outside of your industry with the media, with reporters, with writers, columnists, podcasters maybe, talk radio show hosts? Are you building those relationships so that you can make appearances, add value to their show, their audience, and be able to leverage those contacts to help grow your brand, whether it's your personal brand or your business? So what I found really interesting was, here's someone who inside of 4 years has built a business from mid six figures to high seven. And I asked him where the social proof was on some of the media placement that he has, and asked for a link to his personal brand website. Like firstname.lastname.com. JohnBrubaker.com, CoachBrew.com being an example of that. And he said, I don't own the domain name for my website. I don't have a personal brand webpage. Well, you have a personal brand. You need to own that online real estate that is your firstname.lastname.com. If that's taken, do first name, middle initial, lastname.com. If you have a very common name, you could do first name hyphen lastname.com, or just add the real in front of it. The real JohnBrubaker.com. There aren't a lot of John Brubakers, so I wouldn't have to do that, but you get my point. So you need to add that branding element so you can create social proof, post your media appearances, contact information, how people can reach you on LinkedIn, which is essentially your personal resume these days anyway. And why is that important? To have examples of you in the news, you in the media, your brand in the media. Because it lets reporters know and lets podcasters, radio hosts, television hosts know you're a safe bet. What do I mean by a safe bet? What I mean is you're articulate. You are what I call mediagenic, media friendly. You don't have to have the prettiest face, but you need to clean up well. You need to have a professional image. You need to be well spoken, not use a ton of 4-letter words, and you need to be polished. Don't be long-winded. Have the ability to speak in sound bites, tell stories, use analogies or metaphors. Quotable quotes. Are you somebody who's quotable by the media? Can they take a quick little sound bite that you've synthesized a concept down to and share that as a headline or a subject, a topic? Is it tweetable? Retweetable? Things like that. Because nobody wants to run the risk of putting a bad guest on air. I've done that when I was a sports talk radio show host for ESPN Radio in the Carolinas. From time to time, I would have a first-timer on the show. Some of them, whether it's a coach, an athlete, whoever it might have been, some of them were great, natural storytellers. Others were a nightmare. They were monotone, they were low energy, they were long-winded, or they just used a lot of coach speak and spoke in bad sound bites. What do I mean by bad sound bites? I mean stupid cliches that we always hear. Nobody likes that. So you want to have a page on your website, call it press, media, in the news, whatever you want to call it, but have something that demonstrates that you're articulate, that you clean up well, that you're polished, professional, you're a safe bet. Because the bigger the platform, the more likely they are going to require not just proof that you've done media before, but proof that you've done a lot of it and proof that you do it well. Because the margins are thin, the stakes are high, and if something airs and it goes over like a fart in church, that could be someone's job. That could put a damper on someone's career. No host wants to be put in that position. So what can you do? Think big, start small, act now. That was an example of a soundbite or a quote or something tweetable. Think big, start small, act now. Yeah, everybody wants to be on, like Fox and Friends, or all the people listening to this and watching this on the left are like flipping out, and they probably want to cancel me. So I'll go the other direction. They want to be on Fox and Friends or MSNBC or Morning Joe or one of those big shows. Everybody would love to get that placement, but that takes time. That takes a body of work. or, at best, if you're lucky, a really great contact with the producer of the show directly. Otherwise, it ain't going to happen for a while. So you want to make sure you think big, one of those large platform media outlets, but start small. Local business journal, a trade publication within your industry, a podcast you're familiar with, your local newspaper. And when I say newspaper, what I really mean is your local newspaper's website. That is a far better placement, electronic media, than a magazine or an actual newspaper. Why? Because it will live forever online. The digital footprint will outlast the physical footprint of like a magazine on a coffee table, a newspaper on a desk or a kitchen table. You want that body of work that you can showcase on your press page. You want examples of that, head on over to coachbrew.com and click on, at the top of the banner, click on press. You will see tons of examples. And you want to be able to link to those pages. Don't just have it as a static logo on your website. You want to be able to link to the actual page that the article was written about you. You want to link to the actual page where people can download and listen to the podcast. You want to use their logo, shine a spotlight on that media outlet, and the more backlinks you have, to a point, the more good backlinks you have on your website to other portals online, the better off you are, and the more Google will show you love. So keep that in mind, and be mindful of your digital footprint. Be mindful of what's happening in the news as well. I'll do a whole separate video on pitching media and being timely and topical. But you want to have your ears to the ground, your antenna up, and your radar on, so to speak, for opportunities. But the only way you're going to be able to attract their attention and capture those opportunities is by having a body of work to show them, to demonstrate that you are a worthwhile, trustworthy, articulate investment and someone they ought to bring on as a guest. So that was my advice for this entrepreneur. He's got a great story to tell. He just needs some examples and the ability to expand his brand, kind of the brand within the brand. When you're CEO, you're a brand. You also represent the brand that you are the chief executive officer of, but you are a brand unto yourself. So why not showcase that to the world and do it in a professional manner? That's what I have for you for this episode of BrewTube. If you want more information on growing your brand, growing your business, expanding your sales and results, head on over to coachbrew.com and sign up for my newsletter, The Daily Brew, and you will get automatically a download special report, 12 ways to double your sales, double your results, and you'll get access to all kinds of great content over there at coachbrew.com. Head on over. You can also check out my press page while you're there. See this, that'll very much clarify and bring to life everything we just talked about. So we'll see you over there at coachbrew.com. Catch you in the next episode of BrewTube.